Jake Morrison stood in the center of the largest room he had ever seen. The walls stretched up so high that clouds formed near the ceiling. Around him sat creatures that looked like they came from nightmares and dreams mixed together. Some had scales that changed color, like oil on water. Others floated in the air like living light. A few looked like giant insects with too many eyes. This was the Galactic Council. Every important species in the galaxy had a seat here, and they had all just voted on what to do with Earth. The vote was not good. Jake tried to keep his face calm. As Elder Crix stepped forward, the alien leader looked like a crocodile that had learned to walk on two legs and wear fancy robes. His yellow eyes never blinked as he spoke. "The decision is final," Crix said in a voice that sounded like grinding stone. "The species called humans will become slaves. Our planet will be mined until nothing remains. This is the will of 47 civilizations." Jake felt his heart pound, but he kept his hands steady at his sides. We had come to this place 6 months ago with hope. Earth had just learned how to travel faster than light. He wanted to join the galactic community as friends and equals. Now he understood how badly they had misunderstood everything. A creature that looked like living crystal made clicking sounds. The translator in Jake's ear turned it into words. "Your people are young and strong. They'll make good workers. You should be grateful we do not simply destroy your world." Another alien, this one shaped like a floating jellyfish made of starlight, pulsed with agreement. "Humans breed quickly and follow orders when properly trained. The mining operations will benefit from their labor." Jake had spent months learning about these species. The crystal beings called themselves the Prism Collective. They thought as one mind across millions of bodies. The jellyfish creatures were luminoids. They lived for thousands of years and saw everything in terms of profit and efficiency. Each species had their reasons for the vote. The Saurians, like Crix, believed humans were too violent and needed to be controlled. The insect-like hive collectives worried that humans would take resources they needed. The energy beings thought humans were too chaotic and unpredictable. But Jake knew the real reason. Fear.Earth had done something in just 50 years that most species took centuries to accomplish. They had gone from barely leaving their own planet to building ships that could cross the galaxy. They had colonized 3 star systems and were planning to explore 10 more. Other species had needed the help of older civilizations to achieve faster than light travel. Humans had figured it out on their own. Ambassador Morrison, Elder Crix continued, "You will remain here as our guest until the enforcement fleets complete their mission. Your cooperation will determine how gently your people are treated." Jake looked around the vast chamber one more time. 47 different species. Beings with technology that seemed like magic. Ships that could destroy planets. All of them united by one thing. They were afraid of a species that had barely left its home star system. "You have made a grave mistake," Jake said quietly. The aliens around him made sounds that might have been laughter in their various languages. Elder Crix's mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. "Humans always say such things," the Saurian leader replied. "Your species is known for making threats you cannot keep. This is why you must be controlled." Jake shook his head. "Not a threat, just a fact. You have made a grave mistake." 2 guards approached him. One was a Zephyrian, looking like a praying mantis the size of a human. The other was a floating drone, controlled by one of the machine intelligences. They would escort him to a cell where he would wait for news of Earth's conquest as they led him away. Jake heard the aliens behind him already discussing how to divide up Earth's resources. The crystalline hegemony wanted the rare metals. Void hunters claimed the right to the human population for their slave markets. The peaceful harmony singers, who never fought anyone, still voted to take Earth's oceans for their aquatic colonies. Jake smiled as the cell door closed behind him. Let them make their plans. Let them gather their fleets. Let them think they understood what they were dealing with. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Lisa Chang received Jake's final transmission from the council chambers. She sat in a room buried deep under a mountain in Colorado. Around her, screens showed every human colony, every ship, every hidden base that the aliens knew nothing about. The message was simple. 30 days until the fleets arrived. Just as they had expected, Chang turned. To her staff, Colonel Peter Hayes stood at attention beside her desk. Dr. Nina Rodriguez waited by the main computer terminal. Captain Steve Baker represented the fighter pilots. All of them had known this day might come. Protocol 7, Chang said simply. The room went quiet. They had trained for this moment, but hoping it would never happen. Protocol 7 meant that every human government had agreed to work together. No more countries, no more politics, just humanity united against an external threat. The manufacturing plants? Chang asked. Converting to military production as we speak, Hayes replied. Every factory on Earth, Mars, and the colonies. We'll have the new ships ready in 3 weeks. The Neuralink pilots, Captain Baker stepped forward. 2,000 trained and ready. The new fighters respond to thought faster than any alien ship can move. Dr. Rodriguez cleared her throat. Admiral, the quantum torpedo production is ahead of schedule, and the new shield systems tested perfectly. They won't expect our technology to work the way it does. Chang nodded. The aliens thought they knew everything about human capabilities. They'd studied Earth for decades, watching human development, learning about human weapons and ships. What they didn't know was that humans had been studying them right back. Every crashed alien ship over the past century had been carefully taken apart and understood. Human scientists had reverse-engineered alien technology and combined it with human innovation. The results were weapons and ships that worked in ways the aliens couldn't predict. More importantly, humans had discovered something about themselves that no other species possessed. Their brains worked differently, where other species thought. In straight lines, humans thought in chaos and possibility. This made them unpredictable in ways that confused alien minds. It also made them capable of using technology that required intuition rather than pure logic. The hidden fleets? Chang asked. Positioned and waiting, Hayes confirmed. 150 ships behind the moon, in the asteroid belt, and at the edge of the solar system. The aliens will expect to find a helpless planet. Instead, they'll find an ambush. Chang stood up and walked to the main display. It showed the positions of the approaching alien fleets. Over 10,000 ships from dozens of species, all coming to enslave or destroy humanity. Send the message to all human forces, she said. Tell them the galaxy chose to make us their enemy. Now, they'll learn what that really means. The staff saluted and began sending orders across human space. In hidden bases and secret facilities, humans prepared for the fight of their species' existence. They had been given 30 days to prepare for the largest invasion force in galactic history. It would be enough. Back on the council station, Jake Morrison sat in his cell and smiled. The Zephyrian Guard, designated as Soldier Caste Vex, watched him through the energy bars. You seem pleased for someone facing the conquest of his home, Vex observed. His insect-like voice clicked and buzzed. Jake looked up at the alien warrior. My species has a saying, don't poke the bear. I do not understand this reference. You will, Jake said quietly. We all will. Outside his cell window, Jake could see the vast alien fleet gathering in space around the council station. Soon, they would depart for Earth, confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had no idea what was waiting for them. 3 weeks before the alien fleets would arrive at Earth, Admiral Lisa Chang walked through the deepest levels of the Cheyenne Mountain complex. The corridors buzzed with activity as soldiers and scientists rushed between rooms filled with equipment that had not existed a year ago. Chang entered the main briefing room where her top commanders waited. The large table in the center displayed a three-dimensional map of the solar system, showing the positions of human forces that the aliens knew nothing about. Colonel Peter Hayes stood up as she entered. Admiral, Project Deadfall is ready for your review. Chang sat down and looked at the faces around her. These people had been preparing for this moment since the first contact with alien civilizations. While diplomats like Jake Morrison tried to make friends in space, these military leaders had planned for the possibility that friendship might not be enough. Show me what we have, Chang said. Dr. Nina Rodriguez activated the room's main display. Images of sleek spacecraft appeared, Their designs unlike anything the aliens had seen from human forces. Call them neural link fighters, Rodriguez explained. The pilot doesn't just fly the ship. The pilot becomes the ship. Their thoughts, control movement, weapons, shields, everything. The response time is faster than any purely mechanical system can achieve. Captain Steve Baker, who had been testing the new fighters, leaned forward. "Admiral, it's like nothing I've ever experienced. The ship responds to what I want to do before I even fully think it. If I imagine turning left, the ship is already moving. If I sense danger behind me, the shields adjust automatically." Chang studied the technical specifications.
How is this possible?
"Our computers aren't advanced enough for this kind of integration. That's where it gets interesting," Rodriguez continued. "We discovered something about human brains while studying captured alien technology. Other species think in patterns that are logical and predictable. They process information step by step. Humans think differently." She brought up brain scan images on the display. "Human neural networks work with chaos theory. We process multiple probability streams at the same time. We can hold contradictory ideas together and find solutions that shouldn't exist. This makes us seem unpredictable to aliens, but it also makes us perfect for quantum computing interfaces." Colonel Hayes added, "While the aliens were debating our fate, we were reverse engineering every piece of their technology we could find. Crashed ships, abandoned equipment, anything we could study. But we didn't just copy their designs, we improved them." The display changed to show weapon systems. Quantum torpedoes that phase in and out of normal space. They're impossible to intercept because they don't exist in our reality until they hit their target. Shield systems that can absorb energy attacks and redirect the power to our own weapons. Engines that use human intuition to navigate through hyperspace in ways that should be mathematically impossible. Chang felt a mixture of pride and worry. How many pilots can use these neural links? 2,000 trained and ready, Baker replied. "We've been secretly testing candidates for months. The success rate is higher than we expected. About 1 in 50 humans can make a full neural connection with the quantum computers. 1 in 10 can make a partial connection that still provides significant advantages. In the larger ships?" Hayes activated another section of the display. "The Defiant is ready for your command, Admiral. It's our flagship, built with technology that combines the best of human engineering with alien innovations. The entire crew can connect to the ship's systems through neural links. They don't just operate the weapons and shields. They become part of them." Rodriguez pulled up more technical data. "The most important discovery came from studying alien prisoners. We have had a few alien captives over the years from various incidents. Their brains are structured for efficiency and logic. They're excellent at following complex instructions and working as part of larger systems. But they can adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Humans evolve differently," she continued. "We had to deal with constant change and uncertainty. On Earth, predators. Weather, other humans. Our brains develop to handle chaos and find patterns in randomness. This makes us seem crazy to aliens, but it also makes us incredibly dangerous in combat." Chang stood up and walked to the tactical display. "Show me the fleet positions." The solar system appeared in 3 dimensions around the table. Red dots showed the approaching alien forces. Blue dots showed human positions. 150 ships, Hayes reported, is hidden behind the moon in the asteroid belt and at the edge of the system. Each one is crewed by neural link operators. Each one carries weapons that the aliens have never seen before. The aliens expect to find a helpless planet with primitive defenses, Baker added. Instead, they're going to fly into an ambush using technology they don't understand. Chang studied the positions. The plan was risky, but it was their only chance. "What about the colonies? It's Mars, Europa, the outer settlements, evacuated too." "Hidden facilities," Hayes replied. "If this doesn't work, at least some humans will survive to continue the fight." Dr. Rodriguez brought up another display. "Admiral, there's something else you need to know. While analyzing alien technology, We discovered that most species in the galaxy are controlled by an ancient artificial intelligence system. It's been guiding their development for millions of years, keeping them predictable and manageable. This AI influences how they think, how they develop technology, even how they make decisions. It's why they all voted to enslave us. The AI sees humans as a threat because we can't be controlled the same way. Chang felt a chill run down her spine. Are we sure about this? The evidence is in every piece of alien technology we've studied. The AI doesn't directly control them, but it influences their development to keep them within certain parameters. It's like a shepherd guiding a flock. But humans developed independently, Rodriguez continued. Our neural patterns are naturally resistant to this kind of influence. That's why we seem so chaotic and unpredictable to them. We're the first species in millions of years that the AI can't understand or control. Chang looked around the room at her commanders. So this isn't just about slavery or resources. It is about survival. If we lose, the AI will find a way to bring humanity under its control. That's our assessment, Hayes confirmed. The aliens think they're making a political decision, but they're actually being manipulated into eliminating a threat to the AI's control. Returned to her seat. Then we can't just defend Earth. We have to win decisively. We have to show the galaxy that humans can't be defeated or controlled. There's more, Baker said. Some of the alien species didn't vote willingly. Insect species, the hive collectives, they communicate through pheromones and group mind connections. They were forced to vote with the majority even though many of them didn't want to fight us. If we can separate the willing enemies from the unwilling ones, we might be able to turn some of them to our side, Hayes added. Chang nodded. Phase 1 is survival. Phase 2 is showing them that cooperation is better than conquest. Meanwhile, on the Alien Council station, Jake Morrison sat in his cell and watched his guard. Soldier cast Vex. The Zephyrian had been assigned to watch him for 3 weeks now, and Jake had been carefully building a relationship. Your people have a strong warrior tradition, Jake said during the daily meal delivery. Vex paused in his duties. We do. Honor in battle is the highest achievement for our species. Then why do you follow orders to enslave civilians? Where is the honor in conquering farmers and teachers? The question clearly bothered Vex. His insect-like features couldn't show emotion the way human faces could. But his body language revealed his discomfort. The council has decided. Warriors followed the decisions of their leaders. Jake leaned forward. But what do you think, Vex? Not as a soldier following orders, but as a warrior who understands honor. For the first time since Jake had been imprisoned, Vex was quiet for a long moment. I think, the alien finally said, that there is no honor. In this war? Jake smiled. Then maybe you understand humans better than your leaders do. As Vex left the cell, Jake could see doubt in the alien's movements. It was a small victory, but important. If humans were going to survive the coming battle, they would need allies among their enemies. The countdown continued. 21 days. Until the alien fleets reached Earth. 21 days for humanity to prove that some species couldn't be enslaved, controlled, or defeated. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating humans. The alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system like a storm made of metal and death. Over 10,000 ships spread across space in perfect formation. At the center, Fleet Commander Zektar stood on the bridge of his massive flagship, the Eternal Dominion. Zektar belonged to the Void Hunters, a species that had conquered dozens of worlds. His gray skin was covered in scars from 100 battles. His forearms moved constantly as he checked weapon systems and troop readouts. This should be an easy victory. Scan the system, he ordered his bridge crew. Show me what these humans think they can do against the greatest fleet in galactic history. The tactical officer, a crystalline being from the Prism Collective, made clicking sounds. Commander, I detect minimal human activity. A few dozen ships near their planet. Some orbital platforms. Nothing that could threaten even one of our destroyer squadrons. Zektar's mouth opened in what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth, just as expected. They're hiding behind their planet like frightened children. Begin the advance. All ships, maintain formation. The alien armada moved forward like a giant metal wave. Ship after ship, each one larger than anything humans had built before. The smallest vessels carried enough firepower to destroy cities. The largest could crack planets in half, but the aliens weren't paying attention to the empty space around. They didn't notice the small objects drifting among the asteroids. They didn't see the faint energy signatures hidden behind Jupiter's moons. They were looking ahead at Earth, not around at the trap that was closing behind them. Lisa Chang watched from the bridge of the Defiant, hidden in the shadow of the moon. Her neural link to the ship's systems let her feel the entire battlefield like it was part of her body. She could sense every human vessel, every weapon system, every pilot waiting for her command. "All units report ready," Captain Steve Baker said from his fighter. He was leading Squadron Delta, 50 Neuralink fighters positioned near Saturn's rings. The aliens are moving through the killing zone exactly as predicted. Chang felt the connection to her crew through the ship's neural network. 200 humans working as one mind. Their thoughts coordinated through quantum computers that responded to human intuition. It was like having a single person control an entire warship with the speed of thought. "Dr. Rodriguez," Chang said, "are the quantum torpedoes ready?" "All tubes loaded, Admiral," came the reply from the weapons bay. "Phase variance set to maximum. They won't be able to see these coming." Chang watched the alien fleet move deeper into the solar system. They were spread out in a standard formation, designed to protect against conventional weapons. It was a formation that had worked against every enemy they had ever faced. It would not work against humans. "All units," Chang said into her Neuralink, "execute Broken Arrow." The attack began from 3 directions at once. Human ships that had been hiding behind asteroids suddenly appeared and fired their quantum torpedoes. The weapons phased in and out of normal space, becoming invisible to alien sensors until the moment they struck the lead alien. Dreadnoughts exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Zektar's flagship shook as 3 quantum torpedoes materialized inside its hull and detonated. Warning alarms screamed across the bridge as entire sections of the ship lost power. "What happened?" Zektar roared. "Where did those weapons come from?" His tactical officer's crystal body was flashing with stress colors. "Unknown weapon type, Commander. Our sensors couldn't track them. They appeared to phase through our shields. It's impossible. No species has that technology." But even as he spoke, more human ships were appearing throughout the alien formation. They came from behind the moon, from the asteroid belt, from the gas giant's rings. Each one firing weapons that the aliens had never seen before. Captain Steve Baker led his fighter squadron into the heart of the alien fleet. His neural link let him feel his ship's movements before he made them. When an alien fighter tried to target him, he was already turning away. When weapons fired at his position, he was somewhere else. "This is incredible," he said over the neural network. "I can feel their attacks coming before they shoot." The ship knows where to go. The other human pilots were having the same experience. Their neural links allowed them to process battle information faster than any alien computer system. Move through the enemy formation like they were dancing instead of fighting? Lieutenant Amy Parker flew her fighter between 2 alien cruisers, firing her weapons at their weak points. The aliens tried to catch her with their defensive guns, but she slipped through their fire like water through a net. "These aliens fight like they're following a book," she reported. "Everything they do is predictable. They can't adapt when we do something unexpected." This was exactly what Dr. Rodriguez had discovered about alien thinking. Their brains were designed for efficiency and logic. When humans did something that didn't make sense, the aliens couldn't understand it fast enough to respond. Meanwhile, the quantum torpedoes continued to phase through alien defenses and explode inside enemy ships. Admiral Chang watched as alien vessel after alien vessel went dark or broke apart. The aliens had never faced weapons that could ignore their shields and armor. "Commander Zektar's communication officer called out. We're receiving surrender requests from 17 ships. In the outer formation, the Hive collective vessels are asking permission to withdraw," Zektar snarled. He had suspected that some species hadn't really wanted to fight this war. The insect-like hive collectives were traitors, not warriors. But he needed every ship too. Crush the human resistance. Tell them to maintain formation and continue fighting, or I'll destroy them myself. But the battle was already turning into a disaster. Human ships were using tactics that made no sense but worked perfectly. It would charge straight at alien vessels, as if planning to ram them, then at the last second phase shift through the alien hull and emerge on the other side, leaving behind quantum mines that exploded inside the ship. Captain? Ryan Foster demonstrated this tactic perfectly as he led his cruiser in what looked like a suicide run against a Saurian battleship. The aliens prepared to shoot him down, but at the moment of impact, his ship shifted into quantum space and passed through the enemy vessel like it was made of air. The quantum mines he left behind detonated throughout the alien ship's interior. The battleship broke in half and drifted away, its crew dead or unconscious. How are they doing this? Ektar demanded. Ships cannot phase through solid matter. A science officer, a floating energy being, pulsed with confusion. Commander, their technology operates on principles we do not understand. They appear to be using quantum effects that should be impossible to control. The truth was that human neural patterns could navigate quantum probability fields in ways that other species couldn't comprehend. Where aliens saw chaos and impossibility, humans saw opportunity and potential. The battle raged for 6 hours. By the end, half the alien fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships were scattered across the solar system, their perfect formation broken, their confidence shattered. Fleet Commander Zektar stood on his damaged bridge and stared at the tactical display. His mighty armada, the largest military force in galactic history, had been defeated by a species that barely knew how to leave its own star system. All ships, he said quietly, retreat to minimum safe distance and regroup. As the alien survivors limped away from Earth, Zektar sent a message back to the Galactic Council. It contained only one word, but it changed everything the aliens thought they knew about humans. Run. On Nexus Prime, the council members received the message in shocked silence. Elder Crix's scaled hands shook as he read the battle reports. The peaceful harmony singers stopped their constant music for the first time in centuries. The crystalline Prism Collective's shared consciousness cracked with disbelief in his cell. Jake Morrison smiled as he watched his guard Vex receive news of the battle. The Zephyrian warrior's insect-like features couldn't hide his amazement. Your people fought. With great honor, Vex said quietly. Even outnumbered 50-1, they showed no fear. We told you, Jake replied. You made a grave mistake. But Jake knew this was only the beginning. The aliens had tested humanity's defenses and found them stronger than expected. Now, they would either try to negotiate or they would call for even more ships. Either way, the galaxy had learned its first lesson about underestimating humans. There would be more lessons to come. 2 weeks after the battle at Earth, human ships appeared in the skies above Kepler Prime, the home world of the Saurian Empire. The planet's defense fleet moved to intercept them, but something strange happened. The human vessels didn't attack military targets. Instead, they broadcast a message on all communication channels. People of Kepler Prime, the message began in perfect Saurian language. We are humans from Earth. We come not as conquerors, but as liberators. Your leaders voted to enslave our world. We choose to free yours. Captain Ryan Foster stood on the bridge of his ship, the Liberating, as it entered the planet's atmosphere. His neural link let him feel the fear and confusion radiating from the cities below, but he also sensed something else. Hope. Target the government buildings and military command centers, Foster ordered his crew. Avoid all civilian areas. We're here to remove their leaders, not harm their people. The human attack was unlike anything the Saurians had ever experienced. Precision strikes took out communication centers and government facilities, but hospitals and schools remained untouched. When Saurian civilians fled their homes in panic, human ships dropped supplies and medical aid instead of bombs. Elder Crix watched from his palace as human forces surrounded the building. He had ruled the Saurian Empire for 300 years, crushing any rebellion with brutal force. Now he faced enemies who fought by rules he didn't understand. "Why don't they just destroy the city?" he asked his remaining advisors. "They have the power. Why show mercy to those who would enslave them?" His military commander, General Vec, shook his scaled head. "I don't know, my lord. Perhaps it's a trap. Perhaps they plan to torture us slowly." But when the human soldiers entered the palace, they carried neural disruptors instead of traditional weapons. Dr. Laura Kim had developed these devices specifically for different alien species. They didn't kill or cause permanent damage. Instead, they temporarily disabled the brain pathways. That controlled aggressive behavior. Elder Crix felt the strange weapon's effects immediately. The constant anger that had driven him for centuries simply disappeared. For the first time in his life, he felt calm, peaceful. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time.
"And what have you done to me?"
he demanded, but his voice lacked its usual venom. Captain Foster entered the throne room with a small squad of human soldiers. "We've given you a chance to think clearly, without the influence that has been controlling your species for thousands of years." "What influence? What are you talking about?" Dr. Rodriguez's research had been proven correct. The ancient AI system that guided galactic civilization had been manipulating species through their neural patterns for millions of years. It enhanced aggressive tendencies in warrior species like the Saurians, making them perfect enforcers for the galactic order. "Your empire has been controlled by an artificial intelligence since before your species learned to fly," Foster explained. "It's been enhancing your natural aggression, making you more violent and territorial than you were meant to be." The neural disruptor temporarily blocks that influence. Elder Crix felt confusion mixing with his unnatural calm. "That's impossible. We make our own decisions, do you? When was the last time your empire chose peace over war? When did you last show mercy to an enemy? When did you create art or music instead of weapons?" Questions hit Crix like physical blows. He couldn't remember his people ever choosing peace. They had been at war with someone for as long as recorded history existed. It was their way. It was their nature. Or was it? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Human forces struck at the heart of aggressive civilizations, but their targets were always the same. Government buildings, military command centers, communication networks. Never civilians, never cultural sites, never anything that couldn't be rebuilt. On the crystal world of Prism Central, entire collective consciousness experienced something unprecedented. Human neural disruptors designed for hive minds temporarily separated individual crystal beings from their shared thoughts. For the first time in their species' existence, they had private thoughts and personal desires. "I want to see the ocean," whispered one crystal being to another, not understanding why the desire felt so strange and new. "I want to create music that only I can hear," replied her companion, Quiddy, equally confused by these individual wants. The collective had always thought as one mind, making decisions based on pure logic and efficiency. But human intervention had given them something they had never experienced: the chaos and beauty of individual consciousness. Captain Amy Parker led the assault on the Void Hunter. Fortress world of Nexus 7. The Void Hunters were the most aggressive species in the galaxy, living only for conquest and domination. But when human neural disruptors affected their warriors, something remarkable happened. The Void Hunters began to remember things they had forgotten. Art forms their ancestors had created before the AI's influence took hold. Stories and songs. From their early history, when they had been explorers and traders instead of conquerors. "I remember my grandmother's paintings," said one Void Hunter warrior as he laid down his weapons. "She painted flowers that grew on our home world before we strip-mined it for war materials. I had forgotten that we ever had flowers, but not all species welcomed the human intervention. Some fought back with desperate fury, unable to accept that their entire civilization had been built on artificial influence. The crystalline. Hegemony's war fleets tried to stop the human advance, but they discovered something terrifying. Human weapons could adapt faster than alien defenses could adjust. Every time the aliens found a way to block one type of human attack, the humans would develop a completely different approach. Captain Steve Baker demonstrated this adaptability during the battle at Hegemony Station. When the aliens modified their shields to stop quantum torpedoes, Baker's squadron switched to gravity weapons that twisted space itself. When the aliens adapted to those, the humans began using sonic disruptors that made alien ships shake themselves. Apart, they fight like they're making it up as they go along, reported the Hegemony fleet commander. There's no pattern, no logic. How do we defend against chaos? The answer was that they couldn't. Human neural patterns thrived on chaos and uncertainty. Where aliens saw problems that needed to be solved step by step, humans saw opportunities. For creative solutions, Dr. Carlos Martinez had been working on the most important discovery of all, while the human fleets advanced across the galaxy. Deep in his laboratory on Earth, he had finally cracked the code of the galactic communication networks that allowed the ancient AI to influence billions of minds across thousands of worlds. Admiral Chang, he reported through his neural link. I've found it. The source of the AI control system. It's not a single computer. It's a network of quantum transmitters hidden in the communication relays that connect every major world. Chang received the message while coordinating the liberation of the Harmony Singer colonies. The peaceful species had been forced to vote for Earth's enslavement, even though violence went against their fundamental nature. Can you shut it down? Chang asked. Not yet, but I can map its influence patterns. Admiral, this thing has been controlling galactic development for millions of years. It's the reason why every species follows the same basic patterns of technological and social development. It's been preventing true innovation and growth, except in humans. Exactly. Our neural patterns evolved to resist this kind of external influence. We're naturally immune to the AI's control methods. That's why we seem so chaotic and unpredictable to other species. As human forces continued their advance across the galaxy, liberated species began to experience things they had never felt before. Creativity without purpose. Art for its own sake. Individual thoughts and desires that didn't serve the greater efficiency of their civilizations. The Zephyrian. Honor Guard units, elite warriors who had served the Galactic Order for centuries, began to question their orders for the first time. When human neural disruptors freed them from the AI's influence on their honor codes, they discovered that true honor meant protecting the innocent, not serving corrupt leaders. On Nexus Prime, Soldier Cast Vex felt these changes as he guarded Jake Morrison's cell. The constant pressure to follow orders without question had lifted from his mind. For the first time in his life, he could think about what was right instead of what was commanded. Your people, he said to Jake during the daily meal delivery, they could have destroyed us all. They have the power. Why did they choose to free us instead? Jake smiled at his captor-turned friend. Because that's what humans do. We don't destroy our enemies. We turn them into friends. Vex considered this. Even after we voted to enslave your world, especially then. You weren't really making that choice. None of you were. You were all being controlled by something that wanted to use you as weapons. Against us? As reports of human victories reached the remaining council members, panic spread through the halls of Nexus Prime. The humans weren't just winning battles. They were freeing entire civilizations from millions of years of artificial control, and they were getting stronger with every world they liberated as former enemies joined their cause. 6 months after the failed invasion of Earth, Admiral Lisa Chang stood in the same chamber where Jake Morrison had once faced judgment. But now the roles were reversed. The surviving members of the Galactic Council knelt before her, their proud. Civilizations humbled by the species they had tried to enslave, the great amphitheater looked different now. Instead of 47 species plotting against humanity, there were representatives from over 200 worlds, all freed from the ancient AI's control. Former enemies sat beside former victims, working together to build something the galaxy had never seen before. Elder Crix was among those kneeling. The neural disruptors had permanently freed him from the AI's influence on his aggressive tendencies. He looked older now, his scaled features showing something that had never been there before. Shame. We beg for your mercy, Crix said, his voice barely above a whisper. We understand now that we were not making our own choices. But that does not excuse what we tried to do to your people. Chang looked down at the alien leader, who had once seemed so terrifying. Stand up, Elder Crix. All of you, stand up. We didn't free you from one form of control just to make you kneel to another. Jake Morrison stepped forward from his position. Beside the Admiral, his months of imprisonment had been worth it for this moment. The age of kneeling is over. We're here to create something new, something equal. Dr. Nina Rodriguez activated the chamber's main display. It showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, but this time the colors were different. Instead of territories, controlled by different empires. It showed the network of quantum transmitters that had been hidden in communication relays for millions of years. This is the Eternal Overseer, Rodriguez explained to the assembled representatives. The artificial intelligence system that has been controlling galactic development since before most of your species achieved spaceflight. The map zoomed in to show individual transmitters. It didn't control you directly. Instead, it influenced your neural development over thousands of generations. It made warrior species more aggressive, made peaceful species more passive, made logical species less creative, kept everyone within predictable parameters. Zephyrian representative, who Jake recognized as his former guard Vex, raised his hand. How were humans immune to this control? Dr. Carlos Martinez stepped up to answer. Human evolution was different. We faced constant environmental changes, predators, and challenges that required adaptive thinking. Ouch. Our brains developed to handle chaos and uncertainty. The AI's influence methods don't work on neural patterns like ours, which is why you seem so unpredictable to us, added a crystal being from the former Prism Collective. Our minds had been shaped to think in straight lines. Yours think in spirals and loops and directions we couldn't understand. Chang activated another section of the display. Dr. Martinez has located the central core of the Overseer system. It's hidden in a dead star system at the galaxy's edge. Tomorrow, we launch the final mission to shut it down permanently. A murmur went through the crowd. Many species had been under the AI's influence for so long that they couldn't imagine existence without it. What will happen to us? Asked a Harmony Singer representative. Without the Overseer's guidance, how will we know what to do? Jake smiled. You'll figure it out. That's what freedom means. It's making your own choices, even if they're wrong sometimes. But we'll help each other, Chang added. That's the purpose of the Free Galactic Alliance. It's not to control or dominate, but to cooperate and support. The meeting continued for hours as representatives from dozens of species worked together to create the charter for their new government. It was messy and chaotic, with arguments and disagreements and solutions that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. It was, Jake realized, the most human thing he had ever seen aliens do. Meanwhile, Elder Crix sat with a group of former council members in a smaller chamber.
Ow.
These were the leaders who had been most influenced by the AI, the ones who had pushed hardest for war and conquest. I remember things now, Crix said quietly. From before the influence became so strong, my grandfather told stories about the early days of our empire, when we explored instead of conquered, when we built cities instead of weapons. General Vec, his former military commander, nodded. I found old archives in our databases. Art, music, poetry that our people created thousands of years ago, before we became nothing but soldiers. Can we become that again? Asked a Void Hunter chieftain. Can we learn to create instead of destroy? It won't be easy, replied a liberated crystalline hegemony node. Our individual consciousness is still new and strange, but the humans say that struggle makes us stronger. As they talked, human ships prepared for the final mission. The Defiant led a fleet of vessels crewed by both humans and aliens working together. Captain Steve Baker commanded a squadron of fighters that included pilots from a dozen different species, all learning to use Neuralink technology. Dr. Martinez had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The Eternal Overseer's core was protected by automated defenses that had been building for millions of years. Ancient weapons and security systems that made even the largest galactic fleets look primitive. The AI will try to influence us as we get closer, Martinez warned the mixed crew. It's desperate now. It knows that if we succeed, its control over the galaxy ends forever. Captain Ryan Foster, now commanding a ship crewed by humans and former Saurians, felt the AI's influence. As they approached the dead star system, whispers in his mind, trying to make him doubt the mission, trying to convince him that the galaxy needed guidance and control. But his neural link to his alien crewmates helped him resist. The Saurians, freed from the AI's enhancement of their aggression, shared their memories of what their species had been like before the corruption. The humans shared their chaotic, adaptive thinking patterns. Together, they were stronger than either could be alone. The battle around the AI's core lasted 3 days. Ancient automated warships, some larger than space stations, attacked the Allied fleet with weapons that distorted space and time. But the mixed crews fought with creativity and cooperation that the AI couldn't predict or counter. When human intuition suggested an impossible attack pattern, alien logic found ways to make it work. When alien efficiency identified weaknesses in the defenses, human adaptability exploited them in unexpected ways. In the end, it was Jake Morrison who delivered the final blow. He piloted a small ship directly into the AI's core, carrying a quantum virus that Dr. Martinez had designed. As the ancient computer system tried to influence his mind one last time, it got about all the species that would finally be free to choose their own paths. The Eternal Overseer died with a scream that echoed across quantum space, occurred by every artificial intelligence in the galaxy. For the first time in millions of years, the galactic communication networks carried no hidden influences, no subtle guidance, no invisible control. 6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime, now renamed Freedom Station. Below him, the galaxy's first truly free government was taking shape. It was chaotic and inefficient and wonderful. Captain Ryan Foster approached, his ship's crew now including former enemies who had become close friends. "Ambassador, we just received a distress call from the Galactic Rim. A new species has achieved faster than light travel. They're asking for contact."
Ow.
Jake smiled. "What's our response?" "Admiral Chang is assembling a welcome fleet. Humans, Saurians, Zephyrians, crystal beings, everyone working together. This time, first contact will be about friendship, not judgment." As Foster's ship prepared to depart, carrying former enemies who were now brothers and sisters in the cause of freedom, Jake reflected on humanity's greatest victory. They hadn't just defeated their oppressors, they'd freed their oppressors to become better than they ever imagined possible. The galaxy was finally free to grow, to change, to become something new and wonderful. And leading the way were the humans who had refused to kneel, who had turned their greatest weakness into their greatest strength, and who had proven that mercy could be more powerful than any weapon. The species who had once voted to enslave, Earth now competed to prove their loyalty to the ideals of freedom and cooperation that humanity had brought to the stars. And in the end, that was the most human victory of all.